Now, how many of you ever hunt acorns and have some good oaks that you can hunt? I think a lot of times you look at like acorns are this magical, powerful tool or feature or attraction that you can hunt, and people place so much emphasis on it that they miss the big picture about acorns. That's why I titled this, or it's something along the lines of, do acorns really matter? White oak acorns, do they matter? And I think they do to a certain extent. Now, I love hunting acorns, and we're in a spot right here where we have a beautiful white oak over here. We have some monster white oaks and red oaks around this area, and they're gonna rain down acorns in this location within the next couple weeks, and it's gonna be an outstanding spot to hunt during the early season. And we've seen bucks in here. Ocho we had right over here. We have a reveal on a tree about 15 yards away. We saw him in here daylight. It might have been 8 in the morning or 3 in the afternoon, I forget, but it was within a couple hours of dark, meaning it wasn't right at daybreak. It wasn't at night. In fact, we see more deer on this property in the woods during the daylight than we do at night. We don't see a lot of the mature bucks at night unless they're on the edges. They're off the property. And you want to hold them on your property during the daylight and then let them go, not the other way around. Great spot to hunt bucks within these acorns during the early season. They're dropping in here. I look at it like if Ocho is out in this point bed at about 100 yards away, not much of a stretch for him to come over through here at 11 o'clock in the morning, hit some white oak acorns, and go back to his bedding area. It's just a daytime snack. They're dropping down, they're succulent. Kind of like the apple trees we have out here. We have apples scattered around too. We've had Ocho hitting the apples too. We have an apple tree right out here at Gold Rush. He's been out there in the middle of the morning hitting apple trees. They'll just saunter on through there. So acorns matter to an extent. Great spot to hunt on public land as well. So we have a little private land spot right here. We can get in here and hunt. We'll actually sit against this white oak, blow our scent out into the open fields. So we can get in here just after daylight, make sure the coast is clear, have a really good sit till about 2, 3 in the afternoon. Gets dark at 7, 7:30. We need to get out of here because we don't want deer getting in our wind behind us. We can have a really good morning hunt like in a spot like this. We're not getting into bedding area. So a potential early season morning hunt, rare for us, but we have it where we can come in a post daybreak stand entrance and focus directly on this nice stand of white oaks and some acorns. Public land hunting, awesome spot to hunt on public land where you're hunting more white oak acorns early and red oak acorns later, meaning September, early October for white oak acorns, and then you get into October, November for the red oaks. Awesome spot to hunt because on public land, you don't have what you have on private land, and I'll get to that in a second. Always look at acorns and oaks are a complement to otherwise good habitat. Apple trees, they're a complement to otherwise already good habitat. The oaks, the apples, they can't make the habitat. They can't be your only food source. They can on public land. Public land, you have clear cuts, soft mass, hard mass crops. Great, those are your food sources. Diversity, maybe a swamp edge where you have that ultimate level of diversity, really good spots. So I'm focusing on public land hot spots, white oaks early, red oak later. I'm focused on really cool private land spots like this. These develop into great staging areas too. So maybe you have that distant orchard, distant food source, ag fields, and you're on public land and you're hunting that little stand of white oaks, maybe even just one great white oak tree that's dropping acorns as deer are passing through there to go to that food source. But in that case, does it make sense you're hunting that one little white oak tree without that distant food source, even on public land? That might not be that great of a sit, because those deer want to find a really high quality food source that they can go to every afternoon. Acorns are hard to digest. They're similar to woody browse. They get fawns. If fawns were born in the fall, they'd have a really difficult time, just not even talking about the weather. They can't digest woody browse. And that's what deer need in October, November, December, January, February, March. Acorns are just as hard to digest. So if they only had to live on those and they were born in the fall, they'd die. They can't digest it. So something that a fawn can't digest in April, May, June, July is something that's hard to digest in the fall. And it kind of speaks to how difficult it is if they were just eating acorns all the time. They need a better food source than that. On private land, we have our food plots. People say, well, the acorns are dropping, they're not hitting the food sources. No, they're not hitting the food sources, the good food plots, the good green plots, because you spooked them out hunting them early, and they're sitting back here. They can't eat acorns all the time. They don't want to go to that food source, so because it's been hunter pressured. I've seen studies on that in big deer groups down in southeast, and they'll say, well, the acorns are dropping, they're not hitting the green food sources. No, it's because they drove their side by side to literally under the blind in a garage, sit up, watch a big food plot. Well, they're not hitting the green plots. No, it's the third or fourth time you've done that. That means they're not going to come back out to that with that 3 weeks of forgiveness. They're not going to be around for 3 weeks in that spot. It doesn't have anything to do with the acorns. And that's what I see during the October lull. I'm not saying the acorns aren't a great spot to hunt, but you have to have those other food sources, because the acorns, even the apple trees, are just a complement to good habitat. Do you want acorns on your land? Yes. Again, they're a great complement. Public land, I definitely focus on those white oak acorns early, red oaks later. But this food source up here behind us, if that gives the deer what they need in September, October, November, December, and even into January, then the fact that we have acorns or not out here will not make or break our hunt. And it won't make or break our habitat, our land, the quality of our habitat and land. And it certainly won't make our deer herd. And what I mean by that is, as long as we have good hardwood regeneration and browse, shrub tips, briars, hardwood regen, softwood regen, broadleafs, various weeds, as long as we have that diversity out here, then we're set for daytime browse. Because the nighttime food source, unless it's an oak flat out on public land, is not these beautiful acorn trees around here. Now, that being said, I'm going to keep them. We're never going to cut them down. I can't get them back. I want to have these beauties around here for as long as I own the land. They're a great complement again, but they're not going to make or break our private land parcel out here or our hunt. This area right here represents a spot to hunt. It's an attraction. No different than the water hole down the bottom here, the mock scrape that we'll add over here in a little bit. But this food source right here sets the daily pattern of movement, features the bottom of the funnel of daylight movement, meaning they're all out here, these deer in the woods. They're coming to acorns, water, apple trees. They go to that main food source. They stay there till dark, and then they're out in the ag fields around here all night long, which is why we don't get a lot of pictures of deer in here during the dark hours, because they're all out in the ag fields. No matter what, the standing corn in early December, they'll move a mile and go hit that, and then they're back here during the daylight, which is where you want them to be. And regardless of whether we have these acorns and these oaks in these areas, we're still going to have the same features to hold, build a herd, hunt a herd, have a great hunt. Again, these acorns represent a cool spot in the woods to hunt, but they can't make or break your hunt. A little bit different on public land. I'm going to actively seek these out, especially larger stands of acorns, where that will be that food source that they go to in the afternoon. They might sit up on the edge of a clear cut or in a clear cut, edge of a swamp, and then they're moving out into those acorns during the daylight. A lot different focus on hunting with acorns on public land versus private. I hope that makes sense for when you'd hunt an acorn tree. Great white oak early, red oak later, when you wouldn't, and really their ultimate importance on your private land parcel or not. Again, great importance on public land if you can find them, especially that hidden white oak acorn spot deep in the woods, remote, that no one else knows about. That can be a gold mine on opening day of bow season. This will be a cool spot to hunt. We're setting it up that way. We'll actually have a family tradition ladder stand right in this big old oak right here. We can't wait, but again, it's not a make or break thing, and I hope that helps you understand acorns, oaks, and hunting them or not in the early season and beyond. You know, what a year it's been. I really appreciate all of your support. Thank you so much. I wanted to point out we still have our Earthway spreaders. We're always going to have those for sale on Pure Wildlife Blends, WHS. Great Christmas presents. Again, we're scheduling for clients right now. It seems early, but the season goes by early. Typically, between the 4 or 5 of us will go to properties, 5, including Wes, and then Joe, Kevin, Dylan, myself. Typically by the end of December, we're all booked up. I have about 300 properties across the country. So now is the time to book. Check out info at whitetailhabitatsolutions.com. Jesse will help you book your time. Also our web classes. This is a really big time where people are starting to purchase those web classes to help them with hills and thermals, hunting the rut, and then especially towards the end of December, we're getting into our how to design your whitetail property. A great alternative to actually having one of us out to the property. Boots on the ground are always better. Check out digital land management, which is something new we're working on. We'll continue to work on that. And then of course, we really appreciate all your support. We have more hats, more t-shirts on the site. The books are always there, and want to thank you. Thanks for checking us out, and appreciate you.